So I was recently watching this virtual Riot video where he uses like random LFO tools and they all like control a parameter, and it makes some really interesting like generative, granular almost kind of sounds, super textural. And I wanted to like create this sound in our FL Studio, but FL Studio is sucky pretty much. It just sucks. But I managed to get it to work in Patcher, like despite the shortcomings of Patcher, and hopefully there'll be an update soon. The main problem is that like the true random generators in FL Studio have no controllable parameters, but the seeded ones do. But the seeded ones are seeded, so they're not like really random a lot of the time, and they like sync up half the time, and it's just a huge mess. We ended up working something out, and I'll just demonstrate it for you now. So I mean, it's pretty random. Like, it's about as good as you could get. And I'm just gonna quickly show you guys how you can do it at home. This is what it looks like under the hood for this EQ, and I'll just give you guys this one. You don't have to make this, okay? If you just want this kind of wacky EQ, you can just have it. I'll just give it to you. But if you want to make these randomized parameters on anything, I'll just show you how you can do it. So, first step, boot up a patcher. As an effects channel, I'm just going to dump it on the master. Don't do that when you're doing it. Put it on a proper channel. We're going to grab formula controller, a peak controller, an XYZ controller, and something to randomize. I'm gonna say just randomize the balance. First things first, we need to generate a random seed for our randomizer. So I just started with this one originally, and don't need this part. Don't need this part. We don't really need this part either. But we are going to be able to give our own seed. Currently, this will just sync up to every other randomizer that we use, which is not good. So like every time we call this code, this will always happen. Like this exact pattern will happen. Is not what we want. We want like a real randomized seed kind of thing. All I did, and I know this is lazy, but all I did was I added like 1,000,000 digits times seed. So like every time we change this, the seed like still generates over time, but it just generates at a different position. And the positions are so far apart that they'll like never interact with each other. Theoretically, if they do, you're not gonna notice it. It'll be like 20 minutes in a loop. Who cares? Or longer. You know, I have no clue. Just keep adding zeros. Last thing we got to do is just remove some of these other values that we are not using. Ooh. And we're done. That's our random seed. We gotta create an output for that so we can like use this to control something. We're gonna control the phase of our peak controller. This also has a randomizer, but like the formula controller's seeded randomizer, it's not really random and actually loops really frequently. So you only get like 5 seconds of randomization, and then it's not random anymore. And like, what's the point? You're gonna do all this setup, make 5 seconds of random stuff. That's just gonna loop. Kind of crap. But we can use this to generate a new seed. So the plan is we glue the random output of this into the seed generator of this. So the seed is randomizing all the time, like properly randomizing all the time. But this will always give a different pattern. Additionally, we can use the P controllers like speed parameters to control the speed of the randomization, which will be useful for later. Let's add our output, the LFO output, and drag that to our XYZ controller, and we're nearly done. We can just honestly just create the X output for this and already plug it into our balance. So it's pretty well done. We just use this to create some smoothing on our randomizer. Without it, it's very jittery. With it at full, it basically doesn't move. Combine this to a button. Same with our like volume, speed, phase, etc. To do that, I'm gonna go to the surface, add here, right click, add a few knobs, and make sure to label them. This will be the speed. This will be the smoothing. So go back into our map and drag the speed to your P controller, control the speed, grab your smoothing to the XYZ controller, to the X smoothing speed, then end up using this. Get out of here. Use a bit bigger. And let's check it out. There's a slight issue, and I'll show you how we resolve that. So you'll notice that like when speed is at 0, it's actually the fastest. When it's at the top, it basically doesn't move. So it's inverted. But there's a pretty easy fix to that. We just need another formula controller. We put the formula controller in here. We add our little formula. Let's be 1 minus A. Now move this up. At the bottom, it's at the top. And when it's at the top, it's at the bottom now. So it just inverts the controls pretty well. We dump that back in there. That's it. That's it. We've done it. Randomized our balance knob. And if you ever want to do it again or randomize something else, what you've got to do is create this stack. Well, not this. This stack here. And give it a different C value. Cool. Thanks, guys. Catch you later.